Kango, if for those who have been, listening to the show for a little bit or not, is now basically an arm of Ant Alpha after some recent changes to its company and structure and its even just purpose. Kango first kind of came out in November of 2024. Some news that Blockspace actually broke about how they purchased a lot of the hashrate from Bitmain. Hashrate Bitmain had been deploying throughout the bear market of 23 and 24. And why did Bitmain sell this hashrate? Basically because they wanted a vehicle to have this arm sort of public in the United States. And Kango's already public, Chinese company that was already public. They have this small car line business that they're operating. And then they got into Bitcoin mining. Bitmain convinced them, or I don't know how that deal went down, but at the end of the day, they have a ton of hash rate. Now they're one of the top miners in the US. And as of this week, we had some filings and press releases show that they completed the sale of their car business to Ursula Alpha, which is connected to Ant Alpha. And now they're all in on just mining Bitcoin. If you look at their website, they updated all their information talking about how they're mining Bitcoin. You can look at their Q1 deck that they just put out there, and it demonstrates all the different places that they're mining Bitcoin. So just to kind of zoom out, why does this matter? I think it's just important to notice that Bitmain has been spinning off some of its assets, trying to get those better capitalized by moving to US markets. We've had the Ant Alpha IPO the other day, and now we have this Kango story. The other thing I want to point out is just how prolific and how large Bitmain has been at deploying hash rate all over. You noted at the top of the show what Irene Gao said about the amount of hash rate, hydro hash rate they have online. And the newer deck shows how much hash rate Bitmain was deploying over the last 2 or 3 years globally. We're talking Ethiopia, Paraguay, the United States, elsewhere. So yeah, I just want to throw that in there because we went through all our topics really fast, and the Kango stuff is like underreported this week. And I think it's a good story.
Nothing really to add.
I'll throw one more fact in there. I just think it's interesting to think about like the hash rate they have versus their relative market cap to other miners. They're going to complete this additional deal to get another 18 exahash, and that's going to move them, into the top 3 with Marathon and CleanSpark.
50 exahashes. It's a lot.
I don't have the market cap off the top of my head.
It's like 500 million.
I believe, it's well south of $1 billion market cap compared to some of the other ones out there. Does the market adjust that quickly here, or does it take a little bit?
I think it would take a little bit, and you have to imagine that it might. But if you look at a lot of these, like BitFuFu is a great example, even BitDeer, a lot of these, for better or for worse, or whether this is justified or not, a lot of the Chinese run publicly traded Bitcoin miners have a discount to some of their North American counterparts. Now, whether that's because the Chinese companies aren't as good about getting in front of big institutional shops to, sell their stock or make a case for why they should be part of these portfolios, or if it's because there's just inherent distrust with investors of these companies. I don't know whether or not which one of those are more at play here, but they typically carry a little bit of a discount. So it would stand to reason that they would catch up. I mean, if they're in the ballpark of Mara's got a $5 billion market cap, Kango is 500 million.
Yeah.
So you would imagine that you'd have to at least shrink some of that delta, but we'll see. They're a newer company. They're hosting all of their rigs at a Bitmain facility. They're S19 XPs.
Yeah.
So they're a little bit older, and investors might be discounting them because of that as well.
Yeah.
But I do think there are just a lot of questions as to whether or not there's going to be operational longevity for a new miner like this. So